Just a second, so I wanted to get it started.
All right, we will call the Green Bay Sex Offender Residency Board to meet. Roll call.
I've documented the 4 members that are present and voting.
Okay. And then if I can get a motion to approve the agenda for the December 20th, 2023 meeting.
Move to approve. I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay. For the agenda?
Oh, sorry. Yes, aye for the agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the November 15th, 2023 meeting.
I make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And this I will abstain on.
Okay. All right, get to regular business. The first appeal is Michael Maccabee requesting to move to 1037A Marshall Avenue. Michael, can you come on up? Go ahead and have a seat. Okay, it appears that you've never been before us, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so my first question for you is, how long have you been living at 1037 Marshall Avenue?
I moved in May of 15th of 2015.
And how come you're just now coming to the board?
I didn't know I had to when I got off probation. When I got off probation, the probation officer said you just stay Compton with state, and I was living in Green Bay at the time.
Okay.
So, and I've been Compton with state all to where I've been moving to.
Okay. All right. So because you've never been here, I'll explain how this works. So we're going to ask you what you were convicted of. And when you talk about what you were convicted of, we ask that you don't mention the victim by name or relationship. Okay. And then at one point, we're going to want to talk about any kind of treatment that you may have received. And during that time, you'll have the option to go into closed session or remain in open session. This is open session. Okay. So why don't you first start off and tell us what you were convicted of?
Sexual assault of a child.
Okay. And what happened? How did it all come about?
The person came to my house, stayed the weekend. We all had fun moving stuff, and she went back. I bring them back home on the weekend after the weekend was done, and I think it was like a week later, I was called by the police to come down to Brown County thing, and they said I did stuff, and I didn't do nothing. I just, because they were 12, they went with her side, and I did a year in the county jail and 5 years probation.
So you're saying nothing happened, but yet you were convicted of it?
Yeah. They did a background and everything and said I wasn't a threat to society, but the judge still said he had to give me something.
So did you take this to trial?
Nope, I didn't have money to do a trial. I had a public defender.
So then you pled guilty, or what
I
happened?
think it was no contest.
Okay. This would be sure nice if we had the
Yeah, I'm seeing this.
I did a treatment class, but I had a fire after I got out of jail. We had a house fire, so I don't know if I looked all over for it, but the parole officer lady made me go to told me I had to go to the class. I went to the class, I finished it.
Where was that at?
Crisis center. But
Family services.
she said I could probably go back there and ask, but the person that did the class, I don't even know if he works there or if he's alive anymore, because it was like 20 some years ago.
Yeah, I see that. Is that the only thing that you've ever, it looks like that's the only thing you've ever been in trouble for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ever since then, I've been clean, nothing, no violations, no nothing.
Oh, okay. I see Captain Brester's on the phone now.
I apologize, I'm late. We had a scheduling snafu, so the other lieutenant couldn't make it. So if you could tell me the case we're looking at, I can skim through the report quick, if that's all right with you.
Yes, please. It's Michael Maccabee. Do you need the case number or do you?
Well, that one's not in our list.
Oh, boy. Yeah, this one's from 2001.
Just a second, I got a phone call. I think I'm gonna get this fixed real quick here.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I did have my sister and brother-in-law to come and talk on my behalf, but fortunately they can't come because my mom fell down and broke her leg.
Okay.
And she's like, takes care of, brings them to the doctors and everything. So my sister had to go because they won't do nothing without my sister's signature, so she couldn't come.
Okay. So what we're kind of wanting right now is because you're saying that nothing happened. We need to know kind of what you were accused of. And so we have the captain from Green Bay Police Department on the phone, who typically they'll have a copy of the criminal complaint. So he'll be able to read that criminal complaint and kind of tell us what you were accused of doing.
I had all the paperwork, but I didn't know where it was. But the weekend that it all happened, supposedly she slept in the same room with me, but she didn't. She wanted to sleep in my room. I had a water bed and it was cold and it was a very hot day. So I slept out in the living room and let her sleep in the room. But fortunately, she went and told the police that I touched her and did all kinds of stuff to her. And
okay, that's what we want to know. What kind of stuff did she say you did?
that I touched her down below, touched her up above, and was making her sleeping in the bed with me. But we were not together in the bed. She was all by herself.
Okay.
I brought 2 counts on the first charge.
So you served 1 year in the county jail. You were on probation for 5 years. During that time you were on probation, did you have any violations?
One dirty piss test, and she threw me in jail for 70 some days.
Okay. And then you successfully completed probation after that?
Yes.
Okay.
Paid all my dues and got off probation. And the last words from her is just stay calm to it, stay.
Okay.
And I was living on Eastman.
So tell me again, how did it get brought to your attention that you had to come before the board?
Well, I bought this vehicle with a loud exhaust, and I made the neighbors down the road mad. So they called the police, and when the police did my background, they found out that I was a registered sex offender and I wasn't supposed to be living there. So she made me leave until I got in front of you guys, and I went and stayed at my mom and dad's because they live in Deep Peter.
Okay. And how long ago did that occur?
I want to say a couple weeks before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
About 30 some days.
Okay. All right.
That appears accurate, Miss Michael. It sounds, according to the emails I see, that he had been living at this address on Marshall Avenue and has been applying now to remain at that address. So I don't know about the traffic stop, but at least so far that lines up. It appears probably what happened.
Okay. Any luck with the criminal complaint?
Yes, I do have the criminal complaint and I reviewed it. Do you just want me to summarize it? I'm not sure what Mr. Maccabee had said.
Yes, please.
So this occurred on August 2001, where the 16-year-old, Mr. McAbee went to bed. The 16-year-old went to bed later, went into the same bed. He had touched her in her vaginal area and in her breast area, it appears. There was no penetration into the vaginal area. At one time, he did take her hand and put it on his erect penis. Nothing else happened that night. The next day in the afternoon, she was sitting on the couch. He came back out to the couch again, showed her his penis. At this time, it was not erect, but according to the criminal complaint, he offered her $5 if she'd feel it and $10 if she would suck it. And that victim then said, neither, that's gross, along with a couple other comments, but I don't want to relate the other comments to not release identities of people's, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay.
So that's the basic gist of it. Then he took, I'm sorry, his hand, and appears to have masturbated and ejaculated. According to her statement, that's what it would appear to have happened. Well, took some money out, said, here's your $5, you earned it, don't say anything what the $5 is for. She held on to the money for some time, at which time she gave it to another trusted adult and reported the incident.
Okay, thank you. Does that sound a little bit familiar now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you do all of that?
No,
No, you're saying you didn't.
and she wasn't 16, she was 12 at the time.
Okay, well, he's got the criminal complaint that would list the victim's initials and date of birth.
I'm sorry, Miss Michael, you're correct on that. At the time, it would have been 12, but the statute is related to somebody under 16. So I saw the 16 and I misspoke, but he is correct on the age.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so you're denying all of that happened.
Yeah, because none of it happened, but I still got charged with it and got listed as a sex offender.
Okay.
And then I lived with my parents for quite a long time before I finally got out on my own again.
Does the board have any questions?
None here.
Want discussion? This is kind of where I am. You know, typically you have to show ownership of what you've been convicted of, that you have remorse. And I don't feel that you have either one of those right now, because you're saying that it didn't happen. But I also look at the fact that you've been living in this place since 2015. You haven't had any law violations, at least what we can see.
No.
I mean, other than a loud exhaust, I'm not worried about that. So I probably wouldn't really have a problem with you staying there. But we do need to have the rest of the board kind of give us their thoughts and somebody to make a motion to do that.
Did you see Jim Drake when you were at Family Services?
I think that's what his name was.
How long was your treatment for? Oh God,
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. So did you want to remain in open session to talk about treatment, or would you prefer closed?
Oh.
Okay, so then what we have to do is everybody has to leave the room. We have to get the parties on the Zoom call off, and then we can do that. So I need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, I need all of you to step out of the room. The last person to leave, could you please shut the door? Okay. Does the board have any discussion or anything they want to talk about or motion?
Well, was gonna say, I agree with you that, I think there should be some accountability here, there's not. But he's been living there for 8 years and, I'd hate to take that away.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna be thinking about it for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of feeling that way too.
Yeah, and I'll just say, so obviously concerned that there isn't any remorse. Obviously, you can't be rehabilitated if you don't believe you did anything wrong. And I have concerns about looking the other way just because he's been living there for X amount of years. I'm trying to look at this from the perspective like he's looking to move into the area, and how would I treat that? And not that somebody didn't follow the rules and then get a pass because of it. So I'm still not feeling comfortable with this application.
Okay. Is there anyone that wants to make a motion?
We'll make a motion to approve address specific.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. So you have been approved to continue to stay at 1037A Marshall Avenue. If you choose to move from that location, you must come back here
Yeah.
before us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep, you're good to go.
Thank you.
The next appeal is Garrett Nichols. You can come forward. Garrett Nichols is requesting to move to 933.5 Division Street, Green Bay. Okay. And I believe this is also your first time appearing before us, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So as you heard me state earlier, we're going to ask you to tell us about what you were convicted of. And again, don't list the victim by name or relationship. Okay. I do notice on your application that you really listed your sexual offense as a sex offender failed to provide information. And then later on down the road, you listed the second-degree sexual assault of a child. Was there a reason why you didn't put that up on the top part of the application?
My probation officer filled it out and we were confused and she thought that's the direction that it was supposed to
Okay, okay, no problem. Okay, so I'm not concerned about the actual sex offender failing to register right now. What we're concerned about is the actual second-degree sexual assault. So if you could just go ahead and tell us what happened and how it came about.
I was in high school. It was, I don't know how to say who it was without saying the relation.
You just say a
Well,
friend.
It was a friend. We had sex. She was younger than me. I got in trouble for it. 4 years.
How old were you?
18.
So she was 14 then?
She was 3 years. I think she was
15? Okay. Okay, so you had sex one time, many times?
One time.
One time? And then, why did the police get involved then?
My neighbor, she was also my neighbor. My neighbor told her mom pressed charges and then dropped charges and the state picked it up.
Okay.
I got 2 years probation for it.
Yeah, okay. Captain Brester, is that accurate?
Yes, skimming through it, I can't recall what he said for ages, but the victim was 14 and he was 19 at the time.
Oh.
There is a mention of some alcohol in here, but I'm just trying to, it's a little confusing on who provided it. But the 14-year-old did consume some alcohol prior to this event happening, but it's not clear of who provided it for that 14-year-old.
And does it say that it was just a one-time occurrence?
Yes, ma'am. Only one time in this criminal complaint. Yes.
Okay. All right. I mean, obviously you knew her age.
I didn't know her age.
Oh, you didn't know her
I
age.
knew she was younger than me, yes.
Okay.
Um,
But you're saying she was your neighbor?
we went to school
Well, you
together.
went to school together? So,
At the time, I didn't know her age. I do now, and now I learn her age again.
okay,
I thought she was 15,
okay,
and then back then I thought she was 16.
all right. So I'm gonna guess maybe you were a senior in high school?
Yes,
And so what grade do you think she was in?
I thought she was a freshman.
A freshman? And she wasn't a freshman?
She was a freshman.
She was a freshman. So we know for sure that's at least 4 years old difference, right? Give or take.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any comment about how he said that there was alcohol involved? Okay,
We both drank a little bit. The neighbor that told her mom provided the alcohol.
okay. All right. Any questions from the board on his charge?
I'm here. I'm here.
I'm just curious, the failure to provide information, what is that about?
Oh, so are you saying about the charge that's on his application?
Correct.
Yep, so he's a registered sex offender that didn't register with the state. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you can tell us about that. Why didn't you register?
I was in Ohio. I didn't know that I was supposed to still register here.
You moved to Ohio?
I was living in Ohio at the time.
Okay,
That's from 2016.
yep,
I'm on probation for it now. When I moved back here, I found out that I had a warrant here and then went to the courts and got a court date, did all that.
okay.
I'm still on probation.
And how long are you gonna be on probation for? When do you get off?
2 more years. February 2026.
Okay,
Almost positive that's right.
okay. You're not required to wear a bracelet, are you?
I have one on now.
Oh, you do?
I'm currently homeless.
Okay, but as soon as, like, if we would approve you, you would get the bracelet removed?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So where have you been like all this time then? So,
In Wisconsin,
yeah,
homeless.
for how long?
Pretty much since I got here.
Which was when? In 2016?
No, 2019 I got back here, I think. Late 2019. I've had my current job for 2 years now.
Okay, and where are you working at?
Glass Nickel Pizza.
Okay, and what do you do there?
I'm a cook.
Okay. Um. Okay, okay, I'm sorry. If we want to talk about treatment that you've received, do you want that in closed session or remain in open?
Remain open.
Okay, so it looks like when you were sentenced originally on your second-degree sexual assault, you had to go through AODA assessment, and it also said to do sex offender treatment. Did you complete those?
They didn't have to do sex offender treatment.
But part of the condition of your 6 months jail says register as sex offender and do treatment. So you never did any kind of treatment for that?
They had me go to the attic and
Okay.
Do treatment for alcohol.
Oh, just alcohol?
Yeah.
Okay.
During the assessment to see if I was an alcoholic, the guy said that I wasn't, and I didn't need treatment, not finished it.
Okay, how long did you go there for?
Just that one visit.
Just one visit? So basically an assessment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Include that was another holiday.
Okay. All right.
Is Amanda making you do any psychotherapy treatment? She didn't bring it up.
Yeah, I would have gathered that you wouldn't have been able to get off of probation on that charge had you not done what was ordered of you. So. Yeah. And you're going to just be living there by yourself, or are you going to be living with anyone?
And I'm living there by myself.
Okay. All right. And do you drive? No, so it's pretty close that you can walk back and forth to work.
It is half a mile from work.
Is that what you do? Walk back and forth to work, or do you take the bus?
I take the bus when it's real cold, but I have a scooter.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And I see here that you have 2 children, 19 and 18. Is that correct? And are you active in their life?
Yes.
Okay. And they are aware of what you were charged and convicted of?
Yes.
Okay. And you still are with the same girl for past 10 years?
Not their mother, but yes.
Okay.
Del Shawnee.
Okay.
Delshan, yeah.
Okay. All right. Does the board have any questions?
None here.
No.
Does anyone want to have discussion?
So concerns me that he hasn't gone through treatment a little bit. But he hasn't reoffended, and this is a chance for a guy who's been homeless for a long time to get off the street.
Mhm.
So and that was a Romeo and Juliet issue. Maybe I'm not proving.
I do find it interesting that, you know, the last guy was, I think, 2001, year to 2002, that, we don't really have treatment information, and I understand that, you know, some of the businesses may not be around anymore. But again, I do not think you would have successfully completed probation if it was something that was ordered. So I'm going to gather that maybe you did some kind of an assessment and they didn't feel that there was the need for it. Because you have to have all those boxes checked in order to get off probation. Yeah. Alex, do you have any questions or discussion?
I do not.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Move to approve address specific.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Okay, so you are approved to reside at 933.5 Division Street. If you do decide to move from that location, you must come back before us.
Okay. Even if it's not in Green Bay.
Oh, if it's not in Green Bay, then you're free to do what you want.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good luck. All right, the next on the agenda is the appeal of Pascal Cheatham requesting to move to 853 Elmore Street. Come on up.
Heidi, just as a reminder, we do have people who want to speak on the, I know for sure on the next couple of agenda items.
Yep, I have Charles documented that he has a speaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both Mr. Cheatham and
Okay.
Mr. Charles have
Okay,
people who want to speak. on
all
it,
right,
yeah.
perfect. All right, here. All right, Mr. Cheatham, it looks like you have been before us. And it appears that we have approved you in the past. Now, granted, it has been an extremely long time that you've been here. And you're requesting to move to the 853 Elmore Street, correct?
Yes.
And you're currently living at 1205 Reaver Street.
No, I was kicked out of there.
Okay, when were you kicked out of there?
My last day there was the 30th of last month.
Of
No.
November?
Yes.
Okay, so my first question for you is, how come you didn't come before us to reside at the Reber Street?
I had put in all the paperwork, and this was right around the time of COVID. And I received a letter saying something about Zoom, and I was just waiting for the call, but it never went through. So I didn't think nothing of it because, like I said, it was around COVID, and I was at that address for over 2 years. No problems, no police contact, no nothing. And all of a sudden, there was a situation that I had nothing to do with, knew nothing about, and my landlord was contacted, and next thing you know, I was told I had to.
Because you were registered as a sex offender? Is that why he kicked you out?
Nope, because he didn't want to have any issues with whoever the community officer was that contacted him and gave me a citation for failure to something about the board and for my truck.
Okay. So let me just get this straight. So back in 2018, we approved you to live at 1904 Baston Street, number 3.
19, I think it was.
Okay. How long did you stay there?
I stayed there for a couple of years, I believe.
And then did you not find it odd that like you didn't actually come back here and have to do this process all over again? Like, did you not reach out to the law office to say, I want to live at this address, but I haven't heard from you?
I really, like I said, I wasn't thinking at the time because, like I said, COVID was going on, then, excuse me, dealing with some issues with the mother of my children and trying to get custody. So it was a lot going on.
For the last 3 years?
Yeah, I witnessed it right there for us.
Okay. So because it's been so long since you've been here, I know we have documentation of, you know, when you were here before, but I'm thinking the board would like to hear what you were convicted of.
I wasn't here when.
Yeah. So we have a lot of new board members. So if you can tell us what you were convicted of, how it all came about, and then please again make sure that you don't mention the victim by name or relationship.
Well, I believe in 2008 it started. I ended up being revocated for an incident with the mother of my 2 boys, and while I was incarcerated, about a year later, I was brought to like the investigation room or whatever, questioned about a 2nd-degree sexual assault. And next now I'm being charged with it. So in the middle of me being incarcerated, but not for the situation with my boy's mother, ended up on court, the charges was broke down to misdemeanors, whatever, and ended up going to trial for 2nd-degree sexual assault. And pretty much they found me guilty of the crime.
Okay, so could you elaborate a little bit? Like, first of all, let's tell me, how old were you and how old was the victim?
Let's see, I believe at the time I was 29, I believe, and the victim was 15 or 16, I believe.
And what are they saying you did?
I was accused of finger.
Of what?
Finger.
Oh, okay. One time?
Yes.
Okay. Captain Brester, do you have that criminal complaint to confirm?
Yes, I do. According to the criminal complaint, that's accurate. It happened one time. When the victim told him to stop, he did stop. However, she was scared to say anything because of an alleged prior incident where our subject may have beaten up another person. So she was afraid to say anything at that time, but he did stop when she said stop.
Okay. So why'd you do it? Did you know she was 15 years old?
I didn't do it.
You didn't do
No.
it.
And I was listed as on the low spectrum for the crime, completed the supervision. With no problems, no police contact, no nothing, and to this day, still not on paper. And everything that I basically given you guys the last 2 times I seen, it's still been the same. Only difference is I got custody of my kids.
So you went to prison for 5 years for something you didn't do.
Yes, it was a situation with me and my kid's mom because I was threatening to take her to court to get custody of my boys because I found out she was smoking crack. So to prevent me from getting custody of my kids, she threatened the victim to file charges against me and off to prison.
Okay. Before I go there, does anyone have questions about that offense? Okay. If we want to talk about treatment, do you want to do that in open session or closed? Okay. So, as part of your sentence, you were ordered to do AODA, anger management, and sex offender treatment. Did you do all of those
I
treatments?
completed every program except for the sex program because when I was incarcerated, they told me I didn't have enough time to do the program. And then when I was released, the PO that I had at the time said I didn't have to take the program as well due to the fact I was listed on the low scale. And I was doing other programs as well at the time I was on supervision.
So, did you, complete all your, programs while you were in prison?
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell us just what ones you did complete?
I completed an AODA program in and out of prison. I did, I believe it was called CGIP, which is criminal thinking. I did anger management, I believe, 4 times. I completed a program for parenting, Think for Change, and I received my vocational degree in custodial.
Were you at the same prison the majority of your time?
I went from Stanley to Jackson, from Jackson to WRC, and WRC back to Jackson.
And which institution did you do your programming at? Jackson?
I did programs in Stanley, Jackson, and WRC.
Okay, okay. All right.
And I did the programs here for anger management, some other program that's across the street from Seek. It used to be a building there for programs. I'm not sure what's the name of it anymore, let alone if it's still there.
Sure. So let's start with, do you drink now?
No,
Okay,
I haven't touched anything in quite a long time.
okay. So no AODA issues.
My kids come first. I don't have time for none of that nonsense.
Okay. Anger management 4 times. How come 4 times?
Well, the first 2 times I took it, they said that like a aftercare thing, so I did it again, and my PO recommended that I take it again to try to so much it kind of what they call a helper for other inmates to speak to them and help them while I'm helping myself pretty much.
Okay.
On how to complete anger management and actually control your anger
Okay. All right. Again, you're in this unique situation where you're not on probation anymore, which again, he shouldn't have been able to get off probation if he didn't have the treatment that was required of him, but must have successfully completed probation.
And my son actually did, if not only that, I was given custody of my kids on top of that. And they know about my case, the situation and everything, and I was given custody of my family.
All right. Yeah, but of course, are you working?
You know, I received Social Security
Okay. Can we ask why?
for knee problems, back problems, anxiety, depression, a communication disorder, PTSD, and I believe that's it.
Okay. And I'm assuming you're on medication for a lot of that?
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
No.
Okay. Okay. Before we ask for his speakers, does anyone have questions? Okay. You have someone who wants to speak on your behalf, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, if you could come up and have a seat. And then we just need you to state your name and address for the record.
My name is Heather Schwartz and my address is 853 Elmore Street.
Okay, what can you say?
He's a great man. We're trying to start our family, blend our families together. So I've known him for over 10 years. We've been engaged for the past 3. We plan to get married this year at tax time. So I just want him home with me and our kids. That's all I can say.
So were you also living with him on the Reber
Yes,
Street?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, I did.
Okay,
We had split up for a short period of time. The relationship goes through hardships. I kind of chose my career over my family at the time, you know, and it hurt us. We were apart for about 6 months and we realized it wasn't worth it. I got my place on Elmore and it's a big 4-bedroom place. His girls call me mom, my kids call him dad. I just want him home.
okay. And you were not with him when he was convicted of this, is that
No.
correct?
I was not.
Okay. But you were well aware of what he was convicted of?
Yeah, I've never believed it for a second. If I can be honest with you, Pasquinel is one of the most honest people I've ever met in my life. And if he did something, he would say he did it and he would take responsibility for it. I have 2 small children, a 10-year-old son that calls him dad. So obviously not for a second have I ever believed any of it, or I wouldn't have him around my children.
Okay.
Rehabilitated or not as a mom, you know, there's some things you don't
Mhm.
allow, and I wouldn't. I have a 5-year-old daughter as well, so.
Okay. All right. Any questions for her? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have somebody else or was it? No, just her.
It's just her.
Oh. That's okay, you don't need to have more people, that's fine.
Fine.
Okay. Does the board want to have some discussion?
Well, once again, I find it odd, what you had said it earlier, how can you get off probation if you haven't
Yeah.
followed through all the rules? There's no remorse because he's saying that he did do it. But he hasn't been in any trouble. I mean, he successfully completed probation and he's got a family. And my tendency right now is to vote for him to be approved.
Yeah, I do remember, God forbid, back in 2015 when you were here and you had, was it the adopted parents come and speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Yeah, so I do remember you, and I mean, we did approve you back in 2015. Granted, you didn't really follow some rules when, you know, you left the Bastion Street. But I suppose COVID kind of confused a lot of people at one point. But I wouldn't have an issue. Alex?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what's been said already. I always struggle with the ones where they say they didn't do it because it's possible they didn't. but over the past number of years, there hasn't been any other issues. And I don't believe that the location of this property would increase or decrease the chance of repeat offense. And so for those reasons, I would make a motion to approve address specific.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're good to move to the 853 Elmore Street, but if you do leave there, you must come back here.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
Thank you so much.
good luck.
And I apologize, but I will need to step out. And happy holidays to everybody, and we will see you next month.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. All right, the next appeal is Mark Charles requesting to move to 2169 Packerland Drive. Come on up.
Full disclosure, Mark Charles, is a client of mine.
Okay. Are we gonna run into a problem?
Do you feel like you can still, fairly and without bias, consider the appeal?
Yes, I've been through this several times.
Okay. Okay, so Mark, once again, you have been here, several times, well, not several, but.
One time back in 2012, I think.
Yep, April of 2012, you,
Was approved, right?
yep, you were approved, and then in May, you came back. And we haven't seen you since May of 2012. So where have you been?
I've been at 828 and a half North Broadway up until 2022 when my aunt passed away. Then I had to move out, and then for like the last year or so, I've been kind of homeless.
Okay.
I've been sleeping in my brother's driveway at 2169 Packland
Okay,
up until like October of 2023. I think it's October 30th or November 1st of 23 is when I had to leave there. Because somebody had complained that I was parked in driveways, sleeping there or staying there.
okay,
So yeah, I never
Okay.
decided I've been out and about and sleeping wherever I can in the bar.
okay. Again, because it's been quite some time, we'll have you go over your offense.
Okay.
What you were convicted of,
Okay.
and again, don't say the victim by name or relationship. Go
Um,
ahead.
it was in 2003 where one of the neighbors were over playing with the ball and they bent over to pick it up. And I was charged with pinching her on the buttocks over her clothes when she bent over to pick up the ball. That was the complete charge. I sat a year in the county jail for it. Then I was revocated because people called and made some allegations that were to get me revoked from probation, and I sat 7 years in Fox Lake Correctional Institute. And I was released in 2012, and that's when I came in front of the board.
What were the allegations that were made on the revocation?
It was something about me harassing it was one of my brother's ex-girlfriends a long time ago back then, said I was harassing them and stuff like that, which I don't know, she called my agent at the time and told her that I was harassing her and her kid, which never happened, and apparently my agent was pissed off or something like that, got mad about it and locked me up for it. So instead of arguing with it, I just.
Mentioning a but we're not amount to first degree sexual assault.
That's what I was charged with. First degree sexual assault of a minor under the age of 12 or 13, I think it was. She went to pick up her ball. I was charged with pinching her on the buttocks over her clothing when she went to pick up the ball.
That's not the definition of first degree sexual assault.
Okay. Captain Bruster, do you have the criminal complaint for that?
Yes, I do. So the one count, first of all, Mr. Charles' explanation of the incident is accurate per the criminal complaint. The one charge was labeled as sexual assault of a child under 13 years of age. However, in reading through the charging document, it states that the above named defendant did have sexual contact with a child under the age of 13, and grabbing on a buttocks is considered sexual contact. So Mr. Charles' explanation is accurate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And you wouldn't happen to have about the revocation, would you?
No, there is nothing in the revocation. However, it doesn't look like they charge this part, but within the criminal complaint, our victim stated that there was several times, about a dozen times, where she saw the defendant outside of her bedroom window saying goodnight to her. But there was no charges related to that harassment. But the initial call referenced that, but there's no charges related to that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Are you guys good with that charge? Okay. So. Let's see here. Okay, if we want to talk about treatment.
I did complete.
Okay, well, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Yep. You have the option to do that in closed session
You
or
can keep it
open.
open.
Okay, all right. So yep, tell us what kind of treatment you've
I
completed.
completed sex offender treatment at Overbond by Jim Jake, I think.
Yep.
Sitter. I can't remember the name of the building, but Family Services maybe.
Yep.
I did complete that. I did turn in a copy of that to you guys when I filled out the paperwork from the landlord to be approved for a plan for to stay in at. I did give a copy of that to you.
Which I think I did see that. Yep. Yep. So you were in treatment between the years of May of 2012 to March of 2014. Okay, so can you kind of tell us maybe what you learned during that treatment? That's a lot of time.
I did learn a lot of things that, that you shouldn't touch anybody underage, and I learned that, certain things you say to people is considered sexual harassment, and I did learn not to never do this again. So
Okay.
I learned my lesson back then.
Okay.
I'm just doing everything I can to improve my life and get back on track, get me some job and get steady income coming back in.
So you're not working right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
It's been really hard since I didn't have no residence to go to. So it's really hard for me.
Okay.
I'll make it work somehow, I hope.
Sure. Also, as part of your condition of your original jail time, when you were initially sentenced, you had to do AODA assessment and treatment.
Alcohol and drug assessment? No, I never had to complete that.
No.
No.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol?
No, I never.
Never in the past?
No.
Okay, all right.
Never did any kind of drug except for when I was younger, about 18, 19 maybe. Little weed here and there, but that was it. As when you're young and dumb, you do something, but that was it.
Okay. So we're not working. So not to be rude, but if you're not working, how are you gonna pay for your rent?
I'm hoping to get some work if I get approved. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I can get some work coming in after the first year. Hopefully it'll probably be a lot better and easier for me to get work.
Okay.
And I've been working with FZ and doing all I can to get work through them. Or to help me with work.
Okay. On your application, I'm sorry if it seems like I'm all over the place, but
It's okay.
Browse through the paper. It says that your DOC agent is
Caitlin.
Yeah, you're still on probation?
Yes, I'm on probation for failing to tell sort about using Facebook. And I have gotten a year in jail for that, and I did get, I think, 3 years probation for it. And that's what I'm on probation now for, and I'm on a bracelet, because I'm considered homeless also.
Okay. Was that in 2019 then you got the failure to maintain the sex offender registry?
Yeah, 2019 or 2020, I think it was.
Okay. And so you're
and I am correct, up to date with sort. I call them every week, let them know where I've been sleeping. Every week's got to call every week to do it.
Okay. Okay.
They're the first ones I call every Monday.
All right. Okay.
Unless it's a holiday, but
Sure. All right. Do you guys have any questions or discussion?
No.
There are people who.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That is right. I apologize. Okay, before we do that, your speaker, whoever would like to come up and speak on his behalf.
I think Polly on Zoom wanted to speak, and then we have a Mike and a Stephen who have registered.
Okay, why don't we start with Polly since she's on Zoom? If you could just please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Polly Pumphrey. My address is 2796 Cormier Road.
Okay, and what would you like to say about Mr. Charles?
Well, my only concern is as a concerned citizen. The address to which he wants to move to is directly across the street from a church, and 2 miles down the road is a high school. There's also another school up the block, and you know, it's a concern. It's a concern for me. But I guess, you know, I'm not the last word in this. You guys are. And, you know, there's so many kids in the neighborhood. Is there a chance this will happen again? We don't know. We don't know. But as a mother and a citizen of Green Bay, I just wanted to, you know, to say my thing.
Okay, and I mean, you heard what he said happened, and the Green Bay police captain confirmed that his story was accurate. Does that not give you
peace of mind?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And again, it's probably because I'm a mother and I have children, and no, it doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
But again, this is in your hands, and whatever you decide, you know, there you go.
Okay.
It's up to you.
All right, thank you. Do you guys have questions for her?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Polly.
Well, thank you for allowing this.
Yep. Next.
Mike.
Right, Michael Charles, I'm his brother.
Okay.
Just want to say he's, when he's around, you guys.
State your name and address.
Yeah, I'm Michael J. Charles, 2169 Packerland, where he's requesting to live.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. Have a seat.
Just saying he doesn't bother nobody when he comes over, and there ain't no kids anywhere close to our house on our block. You know, he gets along with all the neighbors when he comes over. Doesn't bother nobody. We're just trying to help him get from being homeless to a place to live.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
And he doesn't bother, comes over, and when the community police officer said he had to leave, he couldn't stay there. He hasn't stayed there since. So.
Okay. And once he comes in the house to live with you, sorry about that.
Visit us.
Sorry.
Well, I got mine. I was worried about mine.
Once he comes in to reside with you, do you have any rules or boundaries for him?
He just pretty much hangs out in the house, minds his own business, and that's pretty much it. If we have a fire, he'll come back, sit out, have a fire with us, and or the neighbors come join. We don't bother nobody.
Okay. All right. Any questions for him?
I'm not.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Stephen Swanson, 2165 Packerland.
What number?
2165.
Okay.
Right next door.
Okay. All right. What do you have to say?
I've known Mike for those last 6 years. They've been there for about 13 years, so they have very good stability in this house. And then I've been next door neighbors to them for 6 years. I've never had an issue with any of them. In fact, I usually go over and have dinner with them a lot of times. So just because I live by myself, don't want to make dinner for myself. But Mark's been over there majority of the time. I mean, he's respectful, he's a good person, and he just needs that initial step to get back on his feet. And right now that's what he's trying to do. So I don't see an issue in our neighborhood. A lot of us are my age or older. So I think he'd be perfect for that area.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for him?
How tall are you?
6'7". Then cowboy boots at about that. Get that all.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, thank you for making a record of it.
Right, right. Okay, is there anyone who wants to make any, or have any discussion or make a motion? Well, I think you kind of said it earlier, Craig. You know, I mean, we've approved you in the past, you know, to reside here, and you haven't had any issues. I mean, yes, you know, failed to have your, you know, register, or you said the Facebook thing. But
a complete misunderstanding I might have, and I
sure,
corrected it.
yeah. Yeah, I do understand Miss Polly's concern. You know, we've got a neighbor that lives right next to you that, you know, has known you for 6 years and you haven't had any issues. So I wouldn't have any concerns myself with you residing at this address.
I agree, Heidi, this is a chance for us to get another homeless person off the street.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that also. A little bit concerned about Polly, but everything that we've heard here and everything I've been reading, I think it's worth taking a chance.
Okay. Is there anyone who wants to go ahead and make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept address specific.
Second? I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
I
Opposed? Okay, so you are good to reside at the 2169 Packerland. And if you decide to move from there,
Yeah.
you have to come back before us.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you're good to go.
So I expect you to get a job pretty quick there.
I hope so. I hope. This should be the biggest step.
That's the next step on the agenda.
Thank you.
I told you to that.
All right. Next on the agenda is the appeal of Brandon Harrison requesting to move to 729 St. George.
Full disclosure, Brandon Harrison was a customer.
Hello.
All right.
Brandon.
So first here. All right, so Brandon, it looks like back in 2018, you requested to move to 19 Oakdale Avenue, and we denied that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That was my parents' residence.
Yep. And then you came back, or were supposed to come back on December 12th of 2018, again to move to 1918 Oakdale Avenue, and you failed to show up.
I got incarcerated.
Okay. All right. So where have you been for the last 5 years?
I got incarcerated December 2nd of 2018 for rule violations and citations. I did 6 months in Brown County and was released from Dodge Correctional Institution. I was residing at the TLP when I caught a charge of substantial battery and disorderly conduct in 2019. And I was revoked for 4 or 4.5 years. And I was recently released from Racine Correctional Institution this past June. I had rule violations. I was placed on a sanction and released, if I remember correctly, I think it was in August. And I resided at the TLP on Shawano Avenue until quite recently.
Okay. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna ask you to tell us what you were convicted of and the circumstances surrounding that.
All right, and I think it was in 2013, I was convicted of child enticement, sexual contact. I was convicted on groping an underage girl inappropriately and having her touch myself as well. I know I understand you guys don't want names or relations, so that's I'm trying to word it correctly.
Did you also have a repeated sexual assault of the same child?
That was dismissed.
Okay. All right. And on that charge, you got 4 years in prison, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
With 6 years supervision?
Extended supervision, correct.
Okay. All right. Captain Brester, can you tell us about the criminal complaint?
Yes, so the criminal complaint was filed. And the charge was repeated sexual assault of a child. The offenses occurred between the approximate dates of April 2007 until May of 2010. During this time frame, the victim would have been 8 years old to 11 years old, and the Mr. Harrison would have been 16 years old to 19 years old. Over the 3-year period, Mr. Harrison would visit the victim's residence 4 to 5 times a week, and I'm sorry, 5 to 6 times a week, and 2 or 3 times a week he would touch her vagina under her clothing. This happened approximately 30 times. He also touched it over her clothing 20 to 25 times. The defendant, or Mr. Harrison, also touched her breasts over and under her clothing more than 50 times. Many times he would squeeze her breasts and put his face on her breasts over her clothing as well. This happened downstairs behind the bar. The defendant, or Mr. Harrison, would touch her vagina and rub and move his hand on her vagina. She told him no and that he had to stop. Mr. Harrison told her it was her fault and he did not stop. He also kissed her in places including her neck and on her breasts over her clothing. Sometimes Mr. Harrison wore boxers and sometimes he was completely naked. She saw his penis a majority of the time. He would rub his penis and grind on her over her clothes. He tried to get her to touch his penis, but she did not. A few years after this, she relayed this to a trusted adult, and also during this time frame saw another acquaintance of her after she ran into Mr. Harrison in public, and through conversation, the same thing happened to that acquaintance where he was charged on that also. And that's pretty much the summary of the complaint.
I'm sorry, did you say that with the acquaintance, he did the same thing? He touched the acquaintance?
According to the complaint, the district attorney states your complainant indicates that this other alleged victim of the defendant, according to Brown County case number 13 CF 1849, in which she is charged with the crime of repeated sexual assault of a child. So from what I can tell, I believe there's another criminal complaint for the same offense with this other victim, yes.
Okay.
But I do not have that criminal complaint.
Okay. Brandon, what Captain Brester said, is that pretty much sound accurate to you?
Yes, the acquaintance is the case that was dismissed.
Okay. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for him about his case?
No.
Okay. So we have the option, when we talk about your treatment, to do that in open or closed session. What would you prefer?
We can keep it open, ma'am.
Okay. So did you go through any kind of treatment?
I had started treatment in 2018 until my incarceration. While incarcerated, I was unable to do treatment due to COVID, and then the institution I was moved to, the wait list was too long. And currently I am enrolled in treatment, waiting for a start date.
And where are you enrolled at?
I forgot the name of it. My agent would have that. I don't know if I'm able to look in my email right now to see the name of it. And does that work on here? Or would it exit me out the session?
I think you should be able to.
Okay. It still works. I don't know anything about technology. Um, uh, Henger Enterprises Ltd.
Yep, gotcha. Okay, so you're enrolled in that. Okay. So when you started the courses in 2018, I mean, how many classes do you think you attended in 2018?
I was going for approximately 4 to 5 months, and I would go weekly.
And what do you think you learned from that?
Recognizing triggers, urges, how to cope with these situations. And, it just started having me work on thinking errors to help prevent future situations.
So why do you think, why did you do this, to an 8-year-old? Why?
It was a horrible mistake.
Well, sometimes like a mistake is a one-time thing, but it looks like this was 30 times, 50 times. It wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was 80 plus mistakes. At any point, did you think that what you were doing was wrong?
Yeah, I was young and dumb. Didn't have any care or thought for any things back then.
You're sober?
Yes. I never had a history of substance abuse.
Yep.
All right. You guys have any questions?
No, not here.
Do you have any comments?
I'm glad that he signed up for treatment. Good. I know Brandon pretty well. I knew him before he went back to prison too. He hasn't reoffended. He's, as far as I know, still working at American Foods.
Yes, I am.
What did you call me?
I said, yes, I am.
And so, doing the right thing. This is a chance to get somebody out of a homeless situation, and I'm fine to approve.
I have serious reservations. I don't feel like you've been out long enough in the community I mean, you went to prison. Just lay out this timeline for me and tell me if I'm wrong. In 2015, you went to prison for 4 years, right? You got out.
Yes.
Which I'm gonna gather you got out sometime in 2018.
Yes, ma'am, July.
Okay, and 6 months later, you end up back in jail on multiple rule violations, what were those violations?
I was operating a motor vehicle without a valid driver license, operating at unreasonable prudent speed with no insurance and improper registration. I just bought a car.
Okay. So then during that time there, you said you went to jail for 6 months, to the Brown County Jail, but you were released from Dodge. So
Yeah, it was I fought and went to a revocation hearing. The ALJ decided to only give me 6 months instead of the 3.5 years that my agent wanted.
okay. So at what point did you go to Dodge then? You went to Dodge for 6 months?
I went to Dodge for 45 days.
Was that as a sanction or was that as
that was as revocation?
Okay. All right. Then you got out in 2019?
Yes.
Okay. And then how quickly was it that you had the substantial battery that ended you getting revoked for another 4.5 years?
I was out 6 days when I was put into a situation where I was attacked and I fought back and I gave somebody stitches.
Okay. And then you were released from Racine in June of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you got a sanction in August of this year?
Yes.
And what was that sanction for?
Absconding.
And where'd you abscond to?
Algoma.
Okay. So basically since about 2014, how long would you say you've actually been out in our community?
From 2014 to this date?
Yep.
Coming up on a year.
And I think that might be pushing it a little bit. Well,
yeah.
I'm very uncomfortable. I don't think you've had enough time in the community to basically be out on your own. I get it that you're homeless. But I
have a job. I've had it for over 90 days now. I go to work every day. I see my PO every day, every week. I'm participating in the thinking errors that she has me work on.
Yeah.
I just got my temps for my driver's license. I'm trying to do right.
I understand that. But I also have to look at it, what's best for our community. And in my opinion, I think that you need to get the sex offender treatment before we just let you have free roam of the community. But that is just my thoughts. There are other people here that have an opportunity to vote and make a motion. So I'm just giving you my feedback. Is there anybody who wants to make a motion?
Brandon, I want you to know that I'm not going to be able to make motions because I know you. So it's up to me.
I understand that.
How do you feel?
Basically, I have the same concerns. But I'd like to make a motion that we give him permission for 90 days, give him an option to get treatment.
I'll come back.
And then come back.
So I just want to make sure that I'm documenting the motion correctly. You're moving to approve for 90 days and asking to bring proof of enrollment in some kind of sex offender treatment.
Yes.
Okay, can I just stop for a second though, because he is enrolled in treatment, he just has not started.
Oh.
When, Brandon, do you start the treatment?
I am currently waiting for Danny to get back to me about that.
Okay. So I don't know if that.
Okay, well, I'd like to amend the motion to same thing, except that he comes back to let us know how he's doing and go from there.
Do you
Is that
want
possible?
him to bring any kind of documentation, proof of attendance or anything like that?
Yeah, that and possibly a note from the person giving the treatment.
Okay, so proof of attendance and a status update from the provider?
Yep.
Does that sound doable, Brandon?
Yes, it does.
You think you'll be in your program in 90 days?
Yes.
So we need a second for that?
Yeah.
Can you,
I am.
you, okay,
So I would second that motion. I think that is reasonable.
all right. So, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. All right, so Brandon, you are, good to reside at the 729 St. George Street. We will send you something, to come back in 90 days with that documentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. The next appeal is Edward Way requesting to move to 666 Cornelius Drive.
Full disclosure, Mr. Way was also a client of mine or something.
Same here, I know Eddie.
And you both feel like you can impartially decide the matter?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so you were just before us in September.
Yes.
And so we approved you to reside at 914 Luke Lane. Now you're requesting to move to the 666 Cornelius. Is there a reason why?
The move was temporary to begin with until I found a place of my own. And now I have done that.
Okay, did you guys want him to go over his charges? I mean, because he was just here. Okay, and let's see, are you currently working?
Yes,
And where are you working at?
King Printing,
And how long have you been there?
since like the week after I was here.
Okay.
We haven't talked in a while, I know. Were they supposed to?
And do you do any kind of treatment?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. If we want to ask you about treatment, can we, do you want that in closed session or remain in open?
We're good. We can,
Open?
yeah.
Okay, so you're not enrolled in any kind of treatment?
Yeah, I will be.
When?
Okay,
Sorry, Heidi, there's an email from his probation agent. in
Oh,
there.
I think so. I think I did see something on
He's
you.
done his assessment and he's waiting for the start date.
Okay,
yeah, he told
Okay.
me it's either like the 3rd or the 10th.
okay. So, but up until this point, you have not had any treatment?
No, I literally had my assessment in like October, and like 2 weeks ago, they just gave me this, saying that I was gonna be starting in January. Well, he wasn't sure if it would be January or December, and then I saw my PL this week and he said it was canceled this week. Or next week is canceled, and then I can't go today because I'm sitting here. You know, I can't be in 2 places, so.
Okay. All right.
Probably lose Captain Brentford, so
So what?
probably lose Captain.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Captain Brester, if you want to go, you're free to go because we've already heard from him before, so you're good.
Thank you. I just wanted to verify there was no one else tonight, so before I cut out, but thank you very much, everyone.
All right, have a good night.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, do you guys have any questions or?
No.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it, I was here, in September and I did not approve you in September. And that reason for that was because you hadn't received any kind of treatment. You still aren't in treatment, you're waiting for that start date, but again, there's two other people here who, may be able to say something different.
When is this, the treatment scheduled for to start? January, you said?
He said, I'll be starting either the 3rd or the 10th.
Of January.
January, yeah.
That was in a little bit of a spot here.
Sorry.
Two people that are able to make motions and vote, people that know you.
I waited for the assessment. I mean, you know what I mean? I
hear you. And I know from what I know about you that you're doing the right thing. You've gone out there, you got work, you behaved yourself. There hasn't been any violations. There hasn't been any of that. I just don't feel comfortable making the initial motion to approve you because I know it's easy by.
Oh, yeah.
Same here.
Huh?
Same here.
Oh.
I mean, I'll make the motion to deny.
Oh.
You to reside at 666 Cornelius Drive. Am I gonna get a second? No.
Motion fails for lack of second.
What does that mean?
Means that I think you should apply to come back after your first treatment starts.
Oh, wow, really?
Well, is that a motion that you're making?
Well, because, I'm gonna be held accountable because I can't control the system. Well, I mean, I couldn't go to treatment if they didn't open it to me, and my assessment took forever, you know, and so that's my question. I mean, that's kind of weird.
That's just my opinion.
No,
Again, like I'm saying,
I'm
there's two other people here, but they're in a situation that they don't feel that they can make a motion.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that it worked out that way.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So what do I have to do then?
I would come back in the 3rd week of January. Apply.
We still need to address the agenda item. So whether that's rescheduling to a point where maybe other board members would be present, because right now we have a motion that failed for lack of a second. So either we need a motion to table it for the next meeting, or deny and reapply. I mean, we have to dispose of the agenda item though.
I feel comfortable making the motion to, what was the first one you said?
To reschedule. Yeah. So there's no approved, well, the last time he was approved temporarily, or because we came back for he was approved and he was specific, and now he's looking to relocate.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wouldn't have approval unless one of you two made the motion to approve for 30 days or 60 days or something like that to come back for the next meeting.
And if we don't,
then he's not approved. I mean, the starting point is restriction, and then the restriction is appealed to the board. So until he gets the board's approval, he's restricted.
Now, is it possible to have like a special call meeting just for him before our next meeting?
It would be possible, but I've been in this position for almost 6 years, and we've never had a special meeting for an individual.
My PO never saw this as an issue. You know what I'm saying? So we never talked about this. So I'm like,
it's not unusual for us to deny people that haven't gone to treatment.
Oh, no, I got that. He didn't see this coming because he said that since I'm starting, he thought that, you know, would be, you know what I'm saying?
And I understand that.
Yeah.
So when you were here earlier, we had different people that were here that were able to vote.
Yeah.
And there were other members who approved you.
Yes.
I, at that time, denied you.
I remember that, yes.
Yep, and I'm still denying you, but these two, because of their interest.
Right.
And we're missing 2 board members
right
now.
Yeah.
Right.
So does that mean I can't say where I'm at now?
You can stay the one you were approved at.
Oh, okay. And but, so what do I tell these people? Because, you know what I mean? Do I have to wait another 30 days? I mean,
I think one of you have to make a motion of some sort
well,
for us to move him forward or release him.
My PO also told me to tell you that, you know, we discussed like, we get, the area, and he said if you didn't see a problem with it, and, what's the lady, Deanna?
Right there.
Hi, so she brought up the sports complex thing, you know, and this Cornelius is like right on the edge of the residency board. And so he said, you know, I am on GPS and stuff like that, so he said, this is all the things he just gave me, give me ideas, you know what I'm saying, so.
What are the available motions to make right now? Approve, deny.
Yeah, approve, deny, reschedule. I mean, it would be postponed, but that's. Postponing means that he's not approved until the next meeting.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But we can approve for, like you said, 60 days.
You could make that motion. I think that the two of you are showing restraint from making a motion because of your personal knowledge or, you know, relationship. So it's up to the two of you whether you can, in good faith, make that motion. If you feel like you're impartially making that motion, so it's kind of an ethical determination that's up to each of you.
I'd like to make a motion that we make it address specific for 60 days.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed.
So I have to come back in 60 days. And what do I bring in with me?
It's Pete's,
treatment.
yeah.
Oh, treatment.
Pete's motion. So what were you looking for at the end of 60 days?
Just the proof of treatment and possibly a letter stating how you're doing in your treatment.
The proof of attendance and a status update from the provider?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. You're good to go? Thank you.
Let's start getting more people here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or either that or we gotta stop meeting more people.
Well, I gotta stop doing my job.
Okay, do we have any other business we need to discuss? No. Okay, the next meeting is January 17th. Make a motion for adjournment.
To adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. You guys